Happy Friday, all. Welcome to Sports in the North. I'm Ramiko Knowles. Tonight we continue our series on females in sports with Jay Philippe.
In this episode of Females in Sports, one of the softball greats that this country has ever seen reflected on her softball glory days. Larissa Lockhart Sanders has represented the Bahamas in softball at the highest level over the past 2 decades. She is arguably one of the greatest Grand Bahamian softball players of all time. Every time I talk about softball, persons always mention your name. So talk about some of the success you would have had in softball.
Well, it started out with a lot of work. Let me start there. My mom kind of saw it before I did, and she had turned me on to Mr. Eddie Claude, who I contribute most of my success to. I'm talking about every Saturday morning at the YMCA, me one. So it wasn't anybody else for him to pay attention to but me, and so I caught hell. And so I'm very grateful for that. I was able to obtain a full scholarship to play Division I softball at Florida A&M University. I came out in June 94, and August I was gone. And my first national team trip was 94. My last national team trip was the Pan American Games in 2005. Wow. And the highlight of my college career was a no-hitter. It was a conference game against North Carolina A&T.
See, this is why persons always talk about you now. Now I understand the story behind Larissa. You played Division I softball.
Yes, I did.
FAMU?
Yes.
HBC school?
Yes. It wasn't difficult focusing, simply because Coach always had us on top of our game. Our team was, we always had the GPA. Everybody, we always say softball girls are smart. But it was definitely adjustment coming from a little island, a little country, the Bahamas, being the only child, but I got it done.
What do you think needs to happen in order for softball to become one of the major sports again in the Bahamas, in Grand Bahama right now? Because there's so many talented players in my mind. I mean, I'm watching high school softball, reporting the news for high school softball, and so many of the kids. Why isn't it possible for them to transition from the high school league straight into maybe a night league and possibly something else?
The issue with the transition is the fact that in high school they're still lobbying. That's one of the bigger challenges that we're having. We're trying to fix that with the junior league. But the sports administrators for softball has to remarket the sport. Here in Grand Bahama, we had a lot of female players that actually left the game early. That seemed to have been the culture. They left way before their time. NASA has the numbers, but they stay in the game a little longer than we do. Now I know for some of us, injuries, life happens, but for the vast majority of them, they left the game too early.
What would be your recommendation or strategy to put together the best players?
I remember being on the national team, coming down to my latter years. Teams that we played, you saw the changing of the guard. You saw that in every tournament. It's only that the Bahamas team, you didn't see that. It was the same old players. Don't get me wrong. We had veteran players that still produced, and that's why they were on the team. But we still could have injected a little bit more into it. We have young players here, very talented, but they have to be given an opportunity.
Softball. Probably bringing you back in the memory lane right now, talking about softball. Let's talk about some of those persons that played with you, that you can still remember right now, that are still around, that you knew had the kind of talent, skill set to be elite players.
I played with a lot of old school players. They're no longer in the game, like a Candace DeGregory. I was able to play with her. I played with Aurea Woods. Knowles. We were on national teams together. I actually was on national team with Lynn Ford, Ernestine Butler. I played with heavy hitters, and I'm very grateful to have played on the side of a lot of them. One or two of them became mentors, but Candice Comer, Sandra Wells, even Senator Kay Forbes Smith. I played years with her. And so I came up in an era where players, they were really good, but they also guided you.
Just want to say thank you for coming here on Females in Sports.
All right.
Give me a high five. Let's make it happen, Marissa. Tune in to ZNS Network News for more of this interview with Marissa Lockhart Sanders.
And that's what's making sports in the North. Thank you so much for tuning in. I'm Ramiko Knowles. Until next time, enjoy your weekend.